Hi, it's been a while since I made a video. We're talking about 4 or 5, 6 months by now, and there's many reasons for that, and in this video I'm going to talk you through my life updates and the updates to YouTube, I guess. So grab some hot coffee or a drink of your preference, sit back and relax. Firstly, I have a profound belief that my YouTube channel and the work that I create needs to be derived from a passion. It needs to be derived from something that I want to create and something that I would want to watch myself. I need to be motivated to create these videos, and I need to be in, I guess, my better moods when creating these videos. Whenever I'm down or just unmotivated, I don't try to create, and I, in a sense, kind of avoid it. Many reasons for that, but that's kind of my whole principle. In this past period, I haven't been really feeling it, to put it simply. You probably know about the world situation. It's 2022 now. There's been lockdowns and various other factors that have made travel both difficult and more expensive. In other words, I haven't really traveled abroad, and even within the country of Ireland itself. Why not in Ireland? Well, I have seen most of the major attractions in this country. This goes from forest parks, castles, towns, cities. I've taken photos of pretty much all of these. Not all of these were video recorded, but that's fine. And it doesn't entirely excite me anymore. You do it once and you're done with it, that kind of way of thinking. There has been a few videos I wanted to make around this country, primarily hikes and more off the beaten path things. However, I've had car issues. You see, I bought my first car in my own name last year, and in the 6 months of ownership, it was sitting in a garage or my driveway for about 4 months. Yeah, so I only really had use of it for 2 months. And even at that, it was a bit scary internally for me of, is it going to break down or is it not going to break down? I had that thought at the back of my head. So I never was able to go on these big journeys because my car wasn't made reliable yet. And then there's work. So in the past year, a bit less than that, I've had 4 different official jobs, and they've been a ride. Some of them were nice, but the hours were horrible. Others underpaid me. For one, I had to commute awfully and work pretty much every weekend while being understaffed. We were meant to have 8 staff, but usually we would have 2 in. As you can imagine, that leads to being overworked and overstressed. And none of these jobs really provided me with long-term security in my financial situation and my whole being. So internally, I haven't really felt at peace. I haven't felt stable. And financially, I've been okay, but it's been a tough time, I'll put it simply. With the jobs mainly being flexible as well, I didn't have weekends off a lot of the time. This didn't allow me to go out and do things with people I know, family, that kind of thing. A few more life updates that happened over 2021 and 2022. I've had multiple foot injuries, 2 toes in specific. Took more than 6 months to heal. Then I had 2 dental surgeries. Had 6 teeth removed. Yeah, it's a lot. And a lot of medical expenses on top of that. So even if I wanted to go out, let's say for a few days in a hotel or something like that, it wasn't financially responsible. I hope that you can kind of piece these things together and understand, because I really do like YouTube. I love creating. I want to share my thoughts, my travels, my photography stuff, and all my other stuff that you can find spread throughout my channel. But unless I'm 100% in the game, I'm not going to force myself to do it. This is not a job after all. This is still a hobby. Since we're on this topic as a whole, I guess I should talk about my whole mental state and that kind of thing. I've been in the down for quite a bit of time, and there's many factors that contribute to this. A lot of it is just not seeing the sun, not being able to do the things I love, and just being, I guess, confined to my house, to my room. And yes, I do have a town nearby. Over time, it just contributes to a general feeling of, I guess, emptiness. It's really hard to describe into words because on the inside, I do feel content with what I have, what I own. I'm not really drawn to consumerism, that kind of thing. But yet, I don't feel motivated to just walk around and be happy with my town and my area. Many things contribute to this, but yeah, that's just kind of how I've been feeling. And for the big update, the really big one, I'm moving. I'm moving with my family abroad. The country will be somewhere in mainland Europe. It will be touching a sea and touching multiple countries, and the weather will be more predictable. Cold winters, hot summers. You can guess down in the description below what that country could be, but I'm not giving it away just yet. This is very drastic, and changing your location of living is a big move, especially when you're moving from an island. Why? Why are we leaving Ireland? Multiple factors. One of them is the cost of living. Ireland is one of the most expensive places in all of Europe for the cost of living. The cost of renting a house is astronomical. Income is not huge. For the past year, I've been making a minimum wage and below, and commuting and other factors like that really add to the fuel costs. Food is kind of average to middle high, and other fuels like electricity, gas, oil, they're kind of middle high as well, so it's not a cheap place to be. This wouldn't be so bad if my parents had a more stable job or if I had some more stability and room to improve, but it's not been like that at all. That brings me to the second point of work. You see, my work has been rough and I haven't had stability. Same goes for my parents. Due to the lockdowns, companies reducing their staff numbers and companies shutting down, they've ended up in entry-level jobs. These are people who went to college and have 20 plus experience in their field, in their craft. They should be making huge money, but they're not. They're doing the same position that a high school dropout could be doing. They're not complaining, but a job like that doesn't really hold you to a country. So that's, I guess, a plus and an easy way of moving. Same goes with my sister. She has a lot of experience in her field, has worked in multiple countries, but her job is underpaying her for a position with rough hours and a few other issues. She's not 100% content. And I know being happy at a job is an illusion, and most people in the States and other countries just put up with awful jobs just to pay the bills, but it's 2022, and when you have the option not to do that and actually just live your life a little with happiness, I think you should. Then Ireland's weather. It's not too bad. It's basically autumn all year long, but with the prolonged lockdowns and travel restrictions, I haven't been able to go out to summery locations to really hot 30 plus degrees heat, and that's what my body craves. That's kind of been putting me in a bad state of mood as well. The lack of sunshine. A lot of people don't mind this at all. This is more of a personal thing, but I should mention it. Travel infrastructure in this country. So if you don't have a car, you're kind of screwed. So I'll put it simply. I'm in my mid-20s, and to ensure it for somebody who has multiple years experience as a named driver, my quotes were over €3,000. If you try to just picture that, you're a young person, let's say you buy a car for €1,000 and you're quoted €3,000 for 1 year's insurance. That's devastating. And since I haven't sold my car and the issues, I haven't been really able to travel many places. Buses are not great. They're few and far between, and what's available has very specific bus routes. Like in my old village, there was only 2 buses per day. It's not ideal. Trains, they're fine where there are trains. They go to places, they're relatively okay on time, but they're very expensive. Like a 45-kilometer train ride is over 1 hour and costs more than €24. It really adds up. So it's not really a viable option for long term. That has really triggered me with this country. It has so much potential, but it's not there yet. I can assume in 5-10 years it can hopefully be better, but who knows. Then we can talk about the people. I personally don't have too many connections here. Over the past year, the past 12 months, I've only met up with one person, and I don't really talk to many other people that I could see in person. Most of my friends are online nowadays, and they're all around Europe, many different countries. But it's funny that I have closer connection with these people that I've never met than people that I've been to school with, been to college with for multiple years. That's kind of the situation. So leaving people behind is not a make or breaker. I'm not in a relationship at the moment, so that's also a huge pro in the aspect of leaving. Then there's assets. As I mentioned, we're renting a property, and we currently have one car that's fully paid off. We have no mortgages or no things on finance. This is a massive factor. We have no phones that we need to pay off. We have no TVs, appliances, cars, houses to pay off. And that allows us to move out freely. It's a huge factor. And I highly recommend that people pay off the things up front rather than paying off something over a period of a few years. Because you really don't know what your financial situation will be. And you can't really predict with the times of today. I guess my last major point about why we're leaving this country and not moving to another part of the country is the fact that politics and the world landscape is very threatening right now. Shipping and infrastructure in that aspect of things is very rough. We have Britain on our one side, which after Brexit makes things a lot more complicated and expensive customs. And then we have the US states on our other side. Below that we have France and Europe, but most things go through England before entering Ireland. This ensures delays, extra shipping fees, as well as a lot of things not being able to be brought into Ireland. And yes, if all things work fine, that's fine. But once there's a cog in the system, like when the truckers were being stopped in France, this basically put Ireland at a halt. There was shortages of bread, of toilet paper and other things in pretty much every supermarket. It was a really bad state. And this country doesn't grow or create a lot of things. Yes, we have potatoes, some greenhouse fruits, but it's not enough to feed the people, and that's really threatening. You see, we also have US naval bases and military bases in this country, mainly used for refueling. And although Ireland is a neutral country, the fact that there is British presence in the north and US presence in the west is really terrifying with Russia and other countries. It puts Ireland in a vulnerable place, and even if it doesn't get involved in anything directly, if our ports or airports have to shut down or reduce the amounts, it's gonna be awful. I can predict people would go homeless, would starve, or things like that. And whether this happens or not is not the point. It's the fact that it is an island and its position in the world is not very good. It's not very stable. So that's kind of a reason why we want mainland Europe, because if there is any issues whatsoever, you can drive to a different country and you can essentially get a lot of produce, from food to items to electronics, that are made in Europe. It's a lot easier in that aspect, and for a long-term living, I feel more safe with it. And yes, there's one more big part. You see, I'm originally Polish and my family is as well. We don't have family or deep connections here, and most of our family is in mainland Europe in a number of countries. So having them being a lot closer to us and makes it so much easier to visit them, to see them, to spend time with them. And I do believe that family is so important, and that connection is huge, is vital. So trying to recover that and revive it will be amazing. I can't wait for that aspect. It's been a long video, and I do really appreciate anyone and everyone who stayed around until the end. In the future, I'll be sharing a lot more travel videos, some photography videos, and just videos about my life and existence, just life updates like this. So please, stay subscribed. I'll be going to Ozura this summer, as well as Electric Castle in Romania. If you see me there, say hi, and have a good life.